So
Mm-hmm.
that self-awareness to know that I'm number one, I got to work, I got to practice, I got to rehearse it, I got to visualize it, I got to see it before it happens. And then understanding that my role in that is very specific. If I'm going to do this
Right.
drill, I need to be concentrated on the way I do my footwork or what I'm looking at or whatever. And so self-awareness really comes from monitoring yourself enough that I know how I'm going to react in any situation because I put
Mm.
myself in that situation before.
People, this is Mark Thompson, your interview expert with another podcast, a interview style type podcast, but this is for Career Transformation Academy. And we're here with an exciting, special, honorable, legendary, in my book, one of my best friends, good friends, roommates. We used to fight, we used to do everything, but he is a skill synergy mentor here to give you all the information that you need. I had to look back and make sure I said it right. Mr. Adrian Archie is here to join me. How you doing, sir?
What's up, man? This is beautiful to be with you. Growing
Yeah,
up.
yes. We're grown up now, huh?
Yeah, for sure, man.
we,
Awesome. Thanks for
we
having me,
got,
bro.
oh man, I appreciate you. I appreciate you. I definitely just want to take this opportunity to get you on here because you have some very powerful, I mean, just your brain alone is very powerful, but the things you went through, your experiences alone are here to really showcase what we're going to talk about today, which is the power of mindset, the power of your mindset, and really just want to pick your brain and who that is. Before we get started, let's talk about you. Like, tell us who you are. Tell us what you're about, and who is Adrian Archie.
Man, for sure, man. Well, again, thanks for having me on your show, man. I love what you're doing with the Career Transformation
Thank you,
Academy.
sir.
I think it's needed, and it's needed from someone that, with your experience, that looks like you. So it's a beautiful thing. So I'm glad to be a part of it. Uh, Me particularly, I'm 43 years old, man. I'm from Concord, North Carolina, country boy. I'm a father. I'm a husband. I got two daughters, 18 and 4. So I'm on both ends of the world. My
Mm-hmm.
wife's a lawyer, and I'm a family man. I love my family, and we're doing
Mm-hmm.
things to grow. Now, outside of that, I'm the founder and CEO of Pet and Mind Franchising Group. About
Mm-hmm.
almost 11-year-old company that I started when I left corporate America, and basically started off as a retail company with pet franchises. Well, pet supply store, all healthy stuff, and I flipped it a couple of years ago. Now I'm franchising the concept. I'm also the founder and chief skill synergy coach with controls eruption mentoring, as
Mm-hmm.
well as more recently, I also uh, become a insurance and annuities agent with New York Life. So got a lot going on, and that's me, man.
Man, look, you have an incredible resume. You know, at 40 something years old, you've probably done more than most 80-year-olds have done in a lifetime. I mean, this is incredible, and this is definitely why I want you here because this, you know, your experiences, the things you had to do, the steps you had to take, and also just to get your mind in a position to think the way you think. It's setting your family up for success, but you had to take a lot of highs and lows, go up many mountains and climb lots of, I would say, lots of Himalayan mountains to really achieve some of the things you did. So let's jump into it and dive into some of that right now. So how do you show up today? In the corporate world, but also in the entrepreneur world as it is today. What does that look like for you?
For sure, man. I got goosebumps when you said it's a journey because it's been a journey, and I think that
Mm-hmm.
I'm proud of that, but I'm also cognizant of that. I probably the biggest thing when you say how do I show up, I want to be transparent and real these days, right?
Mm-hmm.
Been through a lot personally, family wise, and not to get into any of that, and career wise as well. And what I see myself now as being a full time entrepreneur for almost a decade, coming out of corporate, been an athlete all my life, it is I'm a
Mm-hmm.
people cultivator, right? And I like to see people grow, and I like to be part of it. Now, in franchising,
Right.
I can help people become part of a very fruitful industry in the pet industry, build a business from it, and help them along the way grow as people as well. I'm a synergy coach with as a mentor to people. And even with the life and annuities, I'm helping people protect what they do and grow. So that's who I am, man,
Mm-hmm.
in general. Um, not to prolong it, but with the experience of football for years, and with you,
Mm-hmm.
I medical device sales and brand management for almost a decade, and now an entrepreneur. I've gotten a lot of experiential knowledge that I love to give back. I don't know everything, but
Right.
in certain areas of life, I can help and as well as learn from other people, man.
No, that's awesome. And I didn't even talk about that a lot, but Adrian and I played 4 years of football and 2 years of professional football together. So we've been through some hard knocks. You think about it for mental toughness of being in the athletic space, but then to step into now entrepreneurial spaces after being in corporate America, his trials, are just a testament. I listen and watch, and I've watched him grow over the years. And again, when I talk about mindset and I talk about the different avenues where he's going, it's like, wow, let's dig deep into this. Let's start thinking about, okay, what are the concepts that you do? So, if we can explore and tap into that, what concepts do you use? I know I see a lot of your Instagram and some of your TikToks, and you're really laying out what it is to be conscious, what it is to have a fixed versus a growth mindset. Let's explore a little bit of that.
Yeah, man. A lot of trial and error. I think number one,
Hmm.
and so a lot of people, especially if you've been in corporate a while, we've done the different personality tests and different
Hmm.
benchmarks. And initially, when I was in medical devices, I was very skeptical of they used Gallup profile and information
Hmm.
output, and Gallup literally chose everything if it came to promotion or coaching or whatever. And
Right.
one of the top five skills that Gallup said I have, and I actually agree with it now. I'm not skeptical. It is futuristic, and what that
Hmm.
allows me to do is number one, be resilient. I can always choose tomorrow because I'm 5 to 10 years out in what I'm thinking, and it also allows me to have grace, right? And grace
Right.
for other people, but also grace for myself. When growth is part of what you want to have in your experience and learning new things and reinventing yourself, you got to give yourself a break. We can be
Hmm.
our own biggest critic, which is the biggest roadblock. So the final concept that I use a lot, well, I stand in the middle, never getting too high,
Hmm.
never ever
Right.
going low. And the reason you don't get too high is you can't accomplish that every day, which then will depress you and throw you into a low. So I try to stay in the middle no matter what.
Agreed.
Choose tomorrow. And then the last piece is be present, man. Be present
Hmm.
and where you're at. It allows you to be curious. It allows you to be aware of yourself. And then you can efficiently interact with the world around you in an authentic way. I give a perfect example this morning when I was driving to the office, and I think when you say, what skills do I use? I came up to a light and I wanted to make a right turn, but it was a long line in the straight and the left
Hmm.
turn lane. And it was kind of a pothole over there, so I couldn't squeeze by. And after about 25 seconds of sitting there, the light took forever, but the car in front of me moved up an angle so I could go around. Now, think about that concept. I find a lot of
Mm.
people in life are so selfish, so self-centered, so we're looking at our feet and our problems and what we got to do today.
Right.
Like, no, wake up. What's going on around you? It's a car behind me that can go if I move up an inch. So that
Hmm.
awareness of what's going on around me allows me to affect my world in a positive way, whether I'm speaking to somebody, holding the door, moving up in traffic so somebody can go by. Um, Look in your mirror, look around you, see what's going on,
Right.
and I promise you, your life will reflect it.
Yes. Yes. That's great. That is great. That's awesome. I mean, being present. I love to be around people who are being present as well, because that means we're always going to be looking out for not only self, but for other people that
Exactly.
are thinking exactly like you. So you found somebody who was in the in their presence that
Yeah,
morning.
I
But
loved it.
I think I think it also ties back to, when you're being present, you also have more understanding of who you are, but then also it allows your vision to become a lot more clear.
Yep.
I think as you think about your future, if you think about where you're going, okay, what's going on right now that I feel, that I can understand, that is moving, and taking it, like you said, giving yourself grace to stand in that moment, you now can take each day by day and see what you have as a vision come to fruition. And that is the moment of clarity that I think a lot of people have to take a step back and understand. You're not going to get A and skip all the way to Z. You got to do
Mm.
A, B, C, D, E, F, G, but take your time, be patient, because there's learning. There's a process in that to learning how
Yeah,
to get there. This is good.
exactly, man.
This is
It's
good.
completely.
This is good. Well, how would you say that it took, for you to get from that fixed mindset to a growth mindset? How long do you think that process took?
I think it's one of those things that you're always growing in it. I mean, I played football from
Mm-hmm.
6 to 24ish, right?
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't the same football player at 24 that I was in high school, right? So that you have to allow yourself to grow. Leaving corporate America, I left in a bad way. I was kind of pushed out, and then I decided to go ahead and leave as well. And I was depressed for years starting a business, right? And
Mm-hmm.
we celebrate entrepreneurs, but a lot of people have no idea what really goes on in a real, true, full-time entrepreneur's life. As I was excelling or whatever people wanted to call it, I didn't want to get out of bed every day, right? So that
Right.
growth mindset was created in that storm over eight,
Mm-hmm.
9 years, along with miscarriages and stuff that we continue to have just from a family and relationship
Mm-hmm.
perspective. Uh, but what you'll see, and I think is what I've learned on a fixed and growth mindset. Simple definition in my mind to keep it simple when I think about it and I'm coaching my clients is that a fixed mindset is permanent. You think things are
Mm-hmm.
permanent. Which then makes you go for easier goals or not grow at all.
Yeah.
You stay safe, right? Because nothing's changing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have any luck, the world, whatever, right? Whereas a growth mindset is literally the ability to think I can change, not just on a year-to-year basis, but on a second-by-second basis. I'm always choosing not to get road rage or to hold the door for that person or not to
Mm-hmm.
or to actually get up as an entrepreneur and work when nobody is watching me, right? So
Exactly.
I think it's growth and fixed is easier, no growth and fixed, and fixed a growth mindset is practice and repetition and effort. And if you
Mm-hmm.
can break it down like that, is that I'm going to have to work over here, whether it was a good or bad day. This is part of it. I start
Right.
with that understanding. Or over here, you think, nothing's going to change, so I'm just going to be miserable and comfortable and blame everybody else.
Mm-hmm. Key thing there. Our good buddy Lee Williams said that one time. He it was a long time ago on Instagram. He posted something about being comfortable, and he said pretty much comfortable is a beautiful place, but nothing ever grows there. You
Mhm.
don't get growth until you get uncomfortable,
Yeah,
and that's a
you
key
got to
piece.
create
I
it.
think you the process, getting to the bag. Some people want to get money, they want to be rich, they want to be successful, they want to have a great lifestyle. It's in the uncomfortable. It's not in the comfortable space. So no, that's a good right. That's a good
Let
piece
me
right
throw one
there.
more thing at you. I think a great concept for
Mm,
people, and it's starting to step on it, but I think a great concept is when you look
mm,
at I think the redwood or sequoia tree that
mm,
grows out in the Pacific Northwest and Oregon and Washington State and
mm,
Canada. Those are some of the biggest, really the biggest trees on Earth by just
right.
sheer mass, right? Mass, and that's 8,000 years old. the that the those coniferous trees have a seed that's tiny, like smaller than some
Mm,
vegetable seeds. But the unique thing about it is that it's a wax that grows on the seed.
mm,
So when that cone falls, the tree will never grow unless a forest fire comes through and opens the seed up to burn the wax away and crack it. So a forest fire that we see as disaster and we're trying to
wow.
put it out naturally is supposed to go through there and create life and create growth. So, I'm a Christian, but I get I get
Hmm.
a lot of my information, and I'm informed by nature and how God created it.
Hmm.
How are we different if we're made up of the same elements and same substances as the dirt? If we go back to dust, and I think everybody would agree with that,
Right.
then why do we think we don't grow the same way as nature? And
Mm,
that a little bit of abrasiveness, even a seed that you grow in your garden, and I'll shut up. If you want it to grow quicker, you rub it against sandpaper first.
Mm.
So a
Yep.
little abrasiveness in your life is not. Well, I'm not. Look, I wish everything was easy. If it was an easy
Yeah.
button, I hit it. I'll buy it. I'll spend everything to get that thing. But at the end of the day, it's not.
Right.
You gotta rough yourself up a little bit and allow it to
Look,
happen and come out the other side.
I agree. Allow it to happen. Understand that everything that is has been given to you is not here to destroy you, but to give you purpose. And that, trust me, this is awesome, man. We're dropping lots of nuggets. I'm taking notes as we go through this because every time I talk with you, every time I hear your podcast, every time I see something on TikTok, I'm like, wow, this is powerful. That's great information there. As I think about this in Noodle Force, so I wrote down through the fire. Through the fire is where you learn most of your information. That's where you're going to learn, man. That's tough. That's tough. We're dropping some good science here. Let me ask you this: in your current mindset today, how do you reevaluate yourself? How do you do a self-assessment on where you are? Is it daily? Is it weekly? Is it monthly? How do you govern yourself today in the mindset you're in?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a daily thing.
Hmm.
So I call myself a skill synergy coach because I believe you
Hmm.
kind of take experience from everywhere and put it together in your moment, right, and in the present
Hmm.
where you're at. It's really based on emotional intelligence, which is relatively a new field of study. In the 80s and 90s when it really started to blossom and be defined as something. But I think everything's emotional with us
Right.
now. When I say I'm an emotional intelligence coach, and the reason I don't use that moniker because it's a provocative word to people. People hear emotion in
Right.
their mind. Some people think like, what is that? But that's not real, or they get called emotional a lot, right? So they
Right.
don't want to hear that word because they think you think it's negative. Well, emotion
Hmm.
is simply a stimuli. It's a chemical. It's a
Right.
chemical in our body. Emotion, adrenaline is an emotion, and if you get adrenaline when you're running from a murderer in the dark alley, that adrenaline is a great thing. You can see, you can jump higher, you're more aware, you can
Right.
fight. But if you use that adrenaline when you're at home with your wife or your family or at work or in traffic, it's pretty negative. So I think number
Yeah.
one, self-awareness is based on behavior, right?
Mm.
And being able to understand yourself or well, it's again, if you look at football, where we came from, bro,
Hmm.
um, how do you monitor yourself? I always like to use examples for that people can connect it. But we do this. It's certain drills that every position does in football.
Right.
Right? And ropes drill, and not even you have to be familiar with football, but every position does it. But every
Right.
position is focused on doing something different in that drill. So
Hmm.
that self-awareness to know that I'm number one, I got to work, I got to practice, I got to rehearse it, I got to visualize it, I got to see it before it happens. And then understanding that my role in that is very specific. If I'm going to do this
Right.
drill, I need to be concentrated on the way I do my footwork or what I'm looking at or whatever. And so self-awareness really comes from monitoring yourself enough that I know how I'm going to react in any situation because I put myself
Mm.
in that situation before, whether it's in
Right.
real life or in my imagination or my visualizations, or even at practice when I'm doing it a little different each time and getting
Hmm.
better at it. So at some point in life, I don't have to, when the lights come on, they already been on. Now
Right.
it's just for
Right.
me to control my behavior. And if people would just control their behavior and their impulses, then you start to be
Hmm.
aware of yourself because you allow yourself to experience different things.
That's awesome, man. Because I think a lot, from what you're saying and everywhere you have mentioned, there are principles that you can abide by. But even within those principles, you have to have the self-awareness of how you're going to respond to those principles. We played football. We were given principles of how to be a good athlete or how to be a athlete for this team.
Mhm.
You're given principles at a job, at a career, and now you step into entrepreneurship. Some people just go in there and thinking, hey, I can just do this. No, you have to create principles for your entrepreneurship. And then that comes back to your daily personal life and your mindset. What are the principles
Intentionality.
that you abide by? Exactly. You got to be
Intention-
intentional about it. You got to be
Yeah, I mean,
intentional
like,
because you're not going to get anything.
exactly. Well, I think what I learned from Coach Reed, our college coach, and playing with
Hmm.
youth for so many years, and we were different type of player and in our
Hmm.
style of play, but we worked together very well as linebackers. Is because why are you going to practice and not practice? Like you, okay,
Right.
so we out here in the hot sun with all this equipment on. I'm tired. I don't feel like it. Well, I'm here. Then I need to be intentional about getting better. right? And that's
Right.
life for me. I almost feel like the accomplishment that I feel a lot of times is on the bad day. Like I didn't want to do it and I did it. That's the
Right.
real, like, that's the day that feels even better than a win because you're like, oh, man, I didn't, but I did it. So the
Right.
intentionality of life is with the results you'll get. It's not, that's why it's not overnight. Nothing happens overnight. How intentional have you been at going towards that goal? Not how perfect, how
Right.
intentional are you being? And your results at some point are going to show up. I mean, the sun it comes up every day. So if the sun is required to grow, then you need to go out in the sun.
Mm. Mm. You just brought back a memory. I remember that. Remember that time I had the flu, and I still practiced,
Yeah,
and I had the best game at 6 TFL.
bro, because you do.
Man, I went through pain and came out on the other side. That I mean, I remember that the most in my life because that means I can go through anything and come out on the other side and understand that what I went through was there for me to learn and get better. Like
It's another
that's
play.
amazing. It's another play. That's it. That's good, man. This is good. You actually tackled the last piece I was going to get into, but I think what we can go back and circle to is, you know, we talk about mindset. We talk about a person who has now evolved and put themselves into place. How do you think that affects their career making decisions? You know, let's talk about yourself. You know, what elements made you decide to go into corporate, jump out? I mean, we already know the effects of the principles of your company that pushed you out of the corporate, but then what made you say entrepreneurship? What jumped in? What really motivated you and say, I'm going to do this. I have to do this.
Yeah, I mean, I was what 32 or something at the time,
Mm-hmm.
and I was in pain. It is one of those careers that I was doing really well, make great money, but the
Mm-hmm.
stress of it, and then what had happened at the end. I'll be honest. I mean, I left, and I think me and my wife agreed that entrepreneurship was probably best, but I had no plan. I made tons of mistakes. So if I had to do over, I would have it
Mm-hmm.
would have been more intentional.
Right.
Right. I think what I did was it was some emotion there that I needed to leave, but I think I would
Mm-hmm.
have done it a different way. Maybe I would have went to another company and started to become an entrepreneur first, rather than jumping off the ship and throwing myself and literally into a whirlpool and for years trying to
Right.
stay at the top of the whirlpool. Um,
Right.
but I think even still, it was an intentional step. You know, even
Mm-hmm.
football, man. When I got cut that last time, I mean, we could have
Right.
kept pursuing it, but it
Right.
became a time when it's like, okay, no, I have to change. I have to do
Mm-hmm.
something different. So I think for me, even the way I left and become an entrepreneur and then decide to pivot, um, I think what I would challenge people to do is be curious in your life, right?
Mm.
Be curious, like want to know more. We ignore a lot of things, right? So
Mm-hmm.
when I coach or even in my personal life, I make it a point to try to speak to everybody I make eye contact with. And you will
Right.
believe how many people don't. And you say, well, why is that
Mm-hmm.
important? Because you need to be curious. I know people.
Right.
I can walk as a salesman or as a leader, a people leader. I've paid attention enough and tried to do it that now my forte is
Mm-hmm.
understanding what I'm in front of and what room I'm in and how because so it's again wake up, be curious, come out of yourself,
Right.
be transparent, and it'll allow you to make good decisions when through stress.
Right. 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 No, that's awesome. That the be curious part, I think as we get older, which is incredibly weird that we get older and sometimes we become less curious because we're still afraid of we've been burnt by something in the past. So we've taken pain and made a philosophy that actually makes us stagnant.
Yep.
So I always think about that, you know, as we get older, we should be more curious. You know, you think of a 50 or 60-year-old or you know, a retired person, they go out there and do everything. You know what? Because they finally just said, you know what was I afraid of?
Hmm.
You know, and the more we can do that at this age, in your 20s and your 30s and your 40s for your lifetime, to continue to be curious, you have what is called a fulfilling life. You're going to be exposed to more things, more doors are going to be open. You're going to connect with more people. And I understand, I tell people all the time, my life is not just for me. I'm here to help others become the best versions of themselves. So this is where my curiosity opens doors. I am doing things for myself, but I'm also doing things for my family. And there's other people who need my skill set.
Hmm.
So that's awesome, man. That's awesome, man. So, you know, we've tackled everything, man. I got lots of notes here that I'm sure, you know, my our audience here, the students that'll be looking at this stuff, we've got lots of nuggets that are going around the power of the mindset. This is very powerful. I want to ask you this last question. What would you give as like, I mean, you've asked me the same thing on your podcast. What would you give if your final, like your words of wisdom, encouragement to folks who are building their mindset or trying to actually define who they are today?
Yeah, good question, and I could take that a lot of different ways. But I think when we're focused on career and how do we grow and achieve within what we're talking about on your platform here is change is always possible. We
Mm-hmm.
often creation is it should be up to you. You've been
Right.
given a choice. Like you can grow. So even when you look at one of the things I do, and being a sales rep, and I lived in a lot of different cities, but I don't use GPS. Rarely do I, unless I'm going like
Mm,
5 hours away, and I might take an exit every hour or something. But if I'm driving around a city or new city, even traveling worldwide, my wife will tell you. If I've been there once, I can navigate the city like a local. And why is that?
right.
Because I don't use GPS. I don't
Right.
allow it to tell me where to go. Number one, it's going to take you where the traffic is because everybody's using it. And then number two, you don't learn. You don't. Your
Right.
brain can't. And it was actually a study, and I didn't even know this, but it's something I saw a couple years ago as I was, working to become an emotional intelligence coach. It was a study done on cab drivers and bus drivers. I think it was in London or
Mhm.
something. And what they found is that bus drivers take the same route every day. They never deviate. They found
Mhm.
that the area of the brain, the hippocampus, which is responsible for perception and spatial growth, regeneration of thoughts and packaging new things, that the hippocampus was bigger in the taxi drivers because they were always going a different route. And
Right.
so they actually were able to change their minds by simply going different routes every day versus a bus driver that stayed in the fixed route and saying
Mhm.
that, well, we got to be there, hit these times every 10 minutes, right?
Right.
So when you look at it, at the end of the day, it was another study done about a scientist that wore upside down glasses. This was ages ago. And
Mm.
after like a week or something, I don't know the exact details, but his brain actually his flipped it. So he actually was looking through upside down glasses the right way because at some point the brain changed itself, right?
Wow.
And
Yeah.
even and the last piece of this is that it's always so if most people that have some type of religious belief, again, I'm a Christian, but
Mhm.
fasting is part of it,
Right.
right? And I was always curious, like what does fasting have to do with it? Well, something is there. So fasting
Mhm.
changes the body when you're doing it, and it's a chemical called leptin that
Mhm.
that basically is a neuroprotectant. So when you fast, the leptin in your brain and your body it gets reduced, and
Mm.
then and to react to that, the brain and the nervous system actually starts creating new
Mm.
synapses and so it's ways that you can absolutely change your how
Right.
you think,
Right.
how you move, how you believe, if you simply believe you can and then do
Mhm.
it, right? And
Yes.
then doing it requires you to do it
Do
intentional.
it. Do it. Like Nike had it right when they say just do it. And one of the things I always say is just hard work is hard work. So just do it. Like, what are we afraid of? What are we afraid to jump into? So this is awesome. Adrian Archie, the man, the legend, the family man, the entrepreneur, the skill synergy mentor, the insurance support. I mean, you got it all.
Yeah, absolutely
You
right.
got it all, man. Man,
It's diversity, bro.
yeah, diversity is where the way to go. As we're here at Career Transformation Academy, we're trying to show people how to take that step. Because once you take the step to upskill your life in the career that you want to go into, you'll see more opportunities, more doors will open. But Adrian, I want to thank you, man. This was awesome. This was amazing. This is an excellent opportunity to have a conversation with you. My students, the audience, everybody's going to love this. These are nuggets. This is everything that we have today. Just talking about the power of the mindset, man. I appreciate you, sir. Tell everybody,
Appreciate you, bro.
how can they, yeah, tell everybody how they can get in contact with you, man. How can they reach you and learn more? If they want to contact you to be, coached, learn, be a mentee of your program.
Yeah, man. So from a coaching perspective, me being a skill synergy mentor, a people cultivator, you can find me at my name, adrianarchie.com. So that's just like it's spelled all together. Adrian with it's spelled like a man, not with the E. IANARCHIE.com. And then from and we can do coaching. We can catch up with different things, life protection and everything, business protection. But then also from a business perspective, if you're interested in being an entrepreneur and the fastest growing industry out there, no matter through what, the pet industry, we can help you do that as well. And that is buyapetfranchise.com, just like it sounds, buyapetfranchise.com, one word. And I live in Florida, so if you're around, say hello. But I love people. I love to be part of people's growth. And if I can do that, I feel I'm successful.
Man, that's amazing, Adrian. And I don't want to let this go by. Let me let y'all know, Adrian, you're like the only or the first Black pet store owner, right? Is that correct?
Not store owner. It's now. So if you look at the industry, we're as far as owners in the industry, it's more consumer package companies, meaning direct to consumer products. You have a lot more minorities in it, but from owning a brick and mortar store, we're like 0.3 or 4, literally.
Okay. Point three.
But I am the first to franchise a concept successfully
There it
in the pet
is.
industry. So that's a big deal. I do want
It's
to
a
see more
huge
minorities.
deal, bro.
Yeah, I want to see more minorities in an industry that grows through recessions, that grows through COVID, that creates generational
Yes.
wealth. And our small box concept is a great way to do that. And, with us, we got 3 locations, 4 is coming soon as a franchise. But what I tell people is you can go with a franchise that has 300, 400 locations, but you're going to be talking to an employee. You're going to be talking to somebody who might leave tomorrow to grow. Or whereas when you come aboard at Pet and Mind at this early stage, you work with a people cultivator, somebody that loves to see you win. I don't know everything, but I do know how to help you grow.
That's amazing, man. Like I said, I will never minimize what you have done in the pet industry as an African American male in this society. You did it during COVID where everybody was buying pets. So you were going up while people were going down during the economy. And that's just an amazing story, man. If everybody if you want to contact Adrian again, hit him up. His story is amazing. Find him on LinkedIn, see him on TikTok, Emotional Pet Guy on YouTube and on TikTok. Is that correct?
Yeah, Emotional Pet Guy everywhere, either Adrian Archie.
Man,
You can find me.
Yeah, man. So many nuggets drop, mentorship, coaching, whatever you need, man. He's the guy to go to. And again, we want to thank you all for joining this podcast, this session. You can always find more information and following Career Transformation on YouTube, on LinkedIn, on Facebook and Instagram. And on TikTok, we are the Blueprint by CTA. Again, if you do want to learn more and get all of this package for you so you can take yourself to another level, again, you can go on www.careertransformationacademy.com. We'll have all the information in the bio as well, but we are here to support you in your career endeavors. So that concludes another podcast. Thank you all. Thank you, Adrian. Great session. We'll see you guys next time. And we're out.